Hey everyone, welcome back to another random review. Whatever review this happens to be, the title will be in. Um, I got two movies here, so I'm gonna mix it up. Not looking. I guess we're reviewing Final Destination. Um, this is probably my favorite Final Destination. Um, the third one is still pretty kick-ass though. I've never seen the fourth one, and I heard the fifth one is a prequel. So, prequels in a horror movie, usually everybody dies. Uh, the only ones where I can think were prequels where the person doesn't die is in video games. Um, but everybody knows the story about Final Destination. How it got 5 movies, so everybody must know about it. It's about a kid by the name of Alex. He's kind of gawky. He's played very well by Devon Sawa. I think he just got done doing Idle Hands before this movie. So he's a rising young star at this time. And the character Alex, he's kind of gawky. He minds his own business. He always talks with his friend, goofs around with him. And his friend, I forget his name, but he dies in a pretty creative way. Um, and the deaths in this are pretty damn creative. Uh, like they look just like regular accidents, but more brutal. And uh, Alex and his high school peers are going on a trip to France, and Alex is afraid of airplanes, but he's trying to conquer his fear. And what ends up happening? He has to go to the bathroom. Well, he doesn't have to go, but his friend says, "You might want to go to the bathroom now because you don't want the girls with that gagging sense in their throat when you get on the plane and you have to go to the bathroom." So I giggled at that. Um, and uh, he ends up hearing a song while he's in the bathroom, and it's "Fire in the Sky." I forget who sings it, and I think the title is "Fire in the Sky." It goes like, "Oh yeah, there's a fire in the sky." It's played again in the movie too. It's played a couple of times. So Death has a song in this. So Alex and his friend get on the plane, and so does Claire. Not Claire. I'm thinking of. Huh, I'm thinking of. Yep, Claire. I was right. For some reason, I was thinking of the Claire from Resident Evil uh, because Ali Larter played her. Ali Larter's character Claire is a pretty easygoing girl. Alex likes her, and oh, pretty much he ends up seeing something happening in the plane, and he feels like something's wrong, and then all of a sudden, boom, crash, explosions everywhere, and next thing you know, the cockpit is flaming, everything else is flaming, people are burning alive, and then you find out it was just in his head, and everything is going exactly how he envisioned what was happening in his head, and he's trying to stop the plane. So he gets half the students kicked off the plane, and the other half end up going on, and Carter, played by Kerr Smith, I think his name is. Yep. Uh, he's an asshole, and he was like, "Oh, you got us kicked off the plane just because you had a stupid thought, stupid fear of flying. Oh, the plane's gonna blow up, gonna blow up." and then all of a sudden you see an explosion in the sky, and all the people died. So that ends up turning on a chain of events where Alex has to save his friends and enemies from dying in really demented fashion, dying in ways that you couldn't imagine ever dying, but you still say it's kind of cool. So I'm gonna go through one death, well, two deaths actually, because there's two really cool deaths that stood out to me. Um, the first one to die after the plane accident is Alex's friend. He's hanging up some clothes in his bathroom, and water ends up leaking out of the toilet. And they have this great shot. I do not know how they did this effect. If they used computers, they did a good job at it, and if they did it practically, they did a damn good job at it. So the water is flowing, and it flows right next to his feet. He slips. The wire that he had the clothes hanged on ends up wrapping around his neck. He ends up trying to find the scissors, and it just keeps getting tighter until his eyes turn red, and he dies of suffocation. And he was trying to pull at the wire to get it off. He wouldn't. So then we get to the morgue, and we end up getting a random cameo by none other than Candyman himself, Tony Todd. And Tony Todd did a pretty good job as the coroner, or not really mortician, but coroner. And he's like, well, death has a plan for all of us. And this is pretty much what he's saying. Death has a plan for all of us. And if you mess with the death's plan in any kind of way, you will die one way or the other because of the design that death has planned. And you find out that the people are dying in the order in which they sat in the rows of the airplane. And Sean William Scott also plays in this. And here's my second favorite death. This is way later in the film, but not close to the end. There's still a good amount of time left until the end. But pretty much a car accident ends up happening with Carter's car. Sean William Scott is in the back seat, Allie Larder's in the back seat, and Alex is in the front seat, and Carter is driving. And they've got all their seatbelts on, and then Alex has a vision of the seatbelt breaking. And what happens next? Carter ends up being a douche and parking right on the train tracks, like an idiot, playing chicken with the train. The train's coming, and just as it's about to get really close, he decides to get out of there, but death, because Carter's next in line, ends up pretty much making the car immobile. And so they're trying to get out of there. The seatbelt ends up breaking, so Carter can't get out of the seatbelt. Alex ends up saving him. And then it skipped over Carter and went to the next person, which was Sean William Scott's character, and this is my second favorite death. The train is driving, well, going along the tracks, and there's a piece of metal from the car waving around in the train tracks. And all of a sudden, they're all fighting. Carter's fighting with Alex. Alex is fighting with Carter. Sean William Scott's character is trying to break it up. And then he starts talking shit on Carter and saying, "Well, when you're gonna die, you're taking me with you." And the metal goes flying, cuts his head right off. And I'm like, ooh, cool effect. I approve of decapitations in movies, especially when they're creative. So, you've got creative deaths, likable characters. I really liked Devon Sawa as Alex, and I really enjoyed Ali Ludder as Claire. I think Ali Ludder is a terrific actor, but I don't care how good people say the Resident Evil movies are. I just will never watch any of them. They turned Nemesis into a pussy in the second movie, and I couldn't even make it past the 15-minute mark of the third movie. I just found them to be very boring and not horrifying at all. But this is more horrifying than the Resident Evil movies because uh, it's realistic in a way, but unrealistic in other ways. Death is kind of a serial killer, and it's picking off people one by one in ways you wouldn't expect death to come with you, but it does. And it happens in ways like to make it look like an accident, like you were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's what happened. So you've got head decapitations, strangulation, um, I think hit by a bus, and there's some other deaths in there. I won't spoil them. And so Alex, Claire, and Carter are trying to fight their way against Death's pattern because Alex happens to be next. Um, and so he's got the place booby trapped. He's in like this vacation house thing that Ali Ludder's father owns. So Alex has it booby trapped to, if death ends up coming, he'll be able to get out of there. Uh, and he'll know what's going to happen. And he's got a can of beans and he's eating them, and all of a sudden the wind ends up coming inside the house, and it ends up screwing with the booby traps, and he ends up running right out of there, and pretty cool stunt. He ends up going down a hill, and just when you think he's gonna die, a tree branches right in front of his face, and you think, damn, that's close. So you've got some suspenseful moments. So what do I give this out of 10? I give it an 8 out of 10. Definitely worth a watch, especially if you're into stuff that's different. And plenty of people out there have already seen the sequels. And this is probably most people's favorite. Some people say the third one's the best. I'm kind of iffy on this one and the second one because the second one is just as good, if not better, because they upped the ante with the deaths. So anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed this random review. I'm going to be back with another review in just a couple minutes. So, see ya, and have a nice night. Be back in a bit. Psychopath1c signing off.